Oh my God, what a journey this has been. So we're using Restream for the first time.
Okay.
So trying to connect YouTube with Facebook and Zoom and
Restream and all of that. Yeah.
right. So we did a trial run yesterday and everything came out perfect.
Yeah.
So then when it's showtime, everything goes kaput.
But that's how life is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you take a step back, you find your balance, and then you continue on.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. So let's get this thing started. How long do I have with you?
Um, about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. All right, let's roll. So today we are talking on our Nomad chat with Miss Judy Rodriguez. Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Thank you
Miss
for
Judy.
having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming and thank you for your patience.
My
So
pleasure.
who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so like you said, my name is Judy Rodriguez. I am a educator. I've been an educator for 25 years now. I am first generation American. My parents came to this country from the Dominican Republic. I was born in New York City. I grew up in New York and New Jersey. I consider Elizabeth, New Jersey, my hometown. Went to college in Rhode Island. I lived in California for a little bit. Moved here to Florida, and 5 years turned into 25 years.
Okay.
So I became a certified yoga teacher 6 years ago. And yoga is a passion of mine. I enjoy it. It's really makes me a happier person all around.
Good. So how did you get into yoga?
So I actually had some health challenges back in 2003, and I had to really make some decisions as far as making adjustments to my lifestyle because of my health. And so through that process and finding different things to stay healthy, I ran into yoga. It really wasn't my preferred style of exercise at the time that I first tried it. But after getting heel spurs from running half marathons, I had to back off of running, and I got into Bikram yoga, which is the hot yoga, and it was the alternative for me to running half marathons because it allowed me to still replicate the runner's high that you get from doing long distances because of the heat element in the yoga studio. So then that became my my go-to exercise regimen, and I really reaped the benefits of the healing of it. And so I eventually said, let me go a little bit deeper, and that's when I decided to do my 200-hour certification.
Okay. And you haven't looked back since. You love what you're doing.
I do. Yes.
Okay. So what was your health challenge that pushed you to yoga to find your balance?
So you know how life has a way of giving you wake-up calls. So, I was overweight, hypertension, borderline diabetic, all of those things. But I had a cancer scare. So I had a cancerous growth that I had to have removed. I was fortunate enough, I was blessed not to have to do chemo or radiation. And so I kind of, how when you have those wake-up calls, I made a deal with God. I was like, hey, you get me over this hump right here, I'm going to do whatever I got to do in my power to get my health in order, right? And back right. And so I was able to get over that hump. And then so that's when I really started to be more aggressive and more consistent because, we know what we're supposed to do, right?
Yes, we do.
It's the application, right?
Right.
And so, and so I've been I've been on this journey since then, you know, and it's a challenge every day, because every day is a new day, and every day, you know, some days you're on the wagon, some days you fall off, but it's a process, and just the consistency and trying to stay balanced.
Got it. Got it. So how has yoga enhanced your life?
Oh, wow. Well, so it keeps me from popping off on people at work, right?
At least you're honest.
You know, it has helped me with my patience, it's helped me with my breathing, it's helped me with my posture, it's helped me with my flexibility, my mobility, my range of motion, pain, it's helped me with pain. Like I said, with the heel spurs that I had, I was able to get rid of the pain.
Okay.
It has helped me, focus, clarity of mind, just so many different benefits to it, energy wise. I can go on and on.
Okay. So you talked about the pain. Now, as I'm aging in life, I'm 57 now, and there are times I get up in the morning, I feel those little aches and pains that come out of nowhere. And a lot of my friends are feeling the same pain, especially the joint pains. Will yoga help you with that?
That style of yoga focuses on your connective tissue, your joints, your fascia, your ligaments, your connective tissue.
Okay, which yoga is that?
So
the screen froze.
It's important that we incorporate yoga, because it is really preventative.
Okay, your screen is starting to freeze up a little bit.
Did I lose you?
There you are.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, so let's go back to the name of the yoga, because I think your screen froze then and we didn't get it.
Okay, yin yoga. So yin yoga is a style of yoga that's more about practicing stillness. So you do a pose, but you hold it a little bit longer, and that allows you to create new spaces. So it helps you with your range of motion, but it really focuses on your connective tissue, your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, and that helps us with, just strengthening our whole skeletal, because those are the things that keep our muscles together. A lot of exercises, will focus on the muscle groups, but not the other areas. And so that's very important, because after about 25, we don't produce synovial fluid anymore. So, and that's what kind of keeps us, synovial fluid. That's what kind of gives us, it's like what kind of gives us, it's like WD-40 for our ligaments, right? It's what keeps us lubricated, if you will. And so we don't produce that anymore. And as we get older, that's why movement is so important, because then, the movement allows us to stay flexible. Once we stop creating the synovial fluid and we live a sedentary lifestyle, then our range of motion is going to significantly dwindle. So yes, as we age, it's very important that we incorporate yoga or some form of stretching in our regimen, because definitely be preventative. We don't want to wait until you have an injury and then you have to go to physical therapy. And if any of you have ever been to physical therapy, you'll notice that a lot of the stretches or exercises that they have you do are yoga, but you're doing them as a reactive measure after an injury, instead of doing it before as a regular habit or routine or practice, so that it is preventative.
Okay, so actually it sounds like yoga is a way of having physical therapy every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the people that are afraid to, the people that are religious and they're afraid to go into that yoga studio because they're hearing that people are chanting and they don't know what it's all about.
Right. So yoga has 8 limbs of yoga. And in the Western world, a lot of the things that are practiced are more 2 of those limbs. And that's the asanas, which is the postures, the poses, the actual exercise, if you will.
Okay.
And the pranayama, which is the breathing. Right. And so just because you practice the postures or the asanas, and or the breathing, doesn't mean that you have to practice any of the other 6 limbs of yoga, right? So, you know, it is still of value to you to be able to practice the physical exercise or aspect of yoga, which is the asanas, and the breathing.
Okay.
That doesn't infringe on anyone's belief system. If you happen to go to a class that chants, I mean, you can just choose to go to a class that doesn't chant. You know, and just because that's their form of prayer or meditation, if you will, you know, we should be open-minded enough to respect that that is their choice, and we can still meditate and pray or whatever it is that you know you believe in during that time and space that you need to do that while you're practicing your breathing and your asanas.
Okay. So how often should you practice yoga for it to, I guess, for you to feel a difference or see a difference with your flexibility, with your pain level, I guess?
Right. Well, consistency is everything. So I would say a minimum of 3 times a week, but if you can get to a daily practice, that's really optimal. Even if it's 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening, it would really, really help. You know, just to get your day started and to end your day. And you know, there are different types. You can do something that's more energetic in the morning, like sun salutations, or you could do something that's more restorative and relaxing in the evening, like a yin.
Okay. So what's better for you, the morning yoga or the evening yoga?
Both.
Both?
Because they have different purposes. And it, you know, I mean, for me, I mean, you can do yoga any time of the day, whether it's in the morning, whether it's in the evening. I mean, and the good thing about yoga is that you can do it at work. You know, if you need to take a moment, you can do some poses in your chair, right? You don't have to have special equipment. I mean, of course, it's a, you know, $1 million industry. You can buy clothes, you can buy, you know, all kinds of, you know, stuff.
Right.
But you don't really need any of that stuff to do it. I mean, it does help, like, you know, if you can't reach your feet and you want to do a pose and you can get a strap, great. But you can use a belt or a tie or something else, right? You don't have to buy stuff, right?
Right.
Keep it simple. But yeah, so that's the beauty about yoga, that you can do it any time of day. And it, you know, either way, whether you do it in the morning, in the evening, in the middle of the day, or when you're like stressed out and you just kind of want to use it as a tool to, you know, calm down, you know, and breathe and take a moment, close your door at work, sit at your desk, you know, you can do a forward fold in your chair, you know, or do a spinal twist in your chair. So you don't really need any special equipment to do it. You don't really have to do it a particular time of day. It's functional at any time, any place.
Okay. So tell us about your yoga class that you're offering on the beach.
Okay, so I'm offering next Sunday, a week from today, October the 2nd, and the following Sunday, October the 9th, on Sunny Isles Beach. I'm going to be doing a sunrise yin yoga class at 7 a.m. So if anyone is interested in coming out to join us, it's going to be free. October is my birthday month, so my gift to the universe is to offer these 2 sessions for free because it is a passion of mine. I love it. It happens to be Cancer Awareness Month, and
Right.
you know, I it's something that I brings me joy, and I really wanted to just pay it forward.
Got it. Got it. So for people that are not, who don't know where you're located in Miami, Florida.
Yes, Sunny Isles
Okay.
Beach.
Sunny Isles Beach. Okay. We have a question from Miss Pamela Lynn Colon.
Okay.
Pamela wants to know, she says, good afternoon. I have never practiced yoga with any consistency, and I do not have an academic understanding of it. However, every time I perform yoga, I feel so much better. At times I have even felt like I was floating rather than walking after completing a session. And afterwards, I always ask myself, why don't I do this more? And yet I don't have any consistency at all. Do you have any suggestions for me to get me into a regular practice?
So, you know, we often find excuses or use life as the reason for not being consistent. And I say that because I'm guilty of it too, right? Just because I'm a certified yoga teacher doesn't mean that I don't fall off sometimes and I don't practice like I'm supposed to, right?
Right.
So if you, I mean, we're talking to Nomads Without Limits, and so this is a travel group. Most people travel, and when you travel, if you remember when they go over the safety things, if they say if the oxygen mask comes down, you're supposed to put it on yourself first before you put it on whoever you're traveling with.
Right.
And so in life, that is something that you have to practice too. Oftentimes we get so busy doing for others, whether it's the job, whether it's the family, whether it's the spouse, all kinds of things, and we're not practicing self-care. And part of self-care is showing up for yourself. And so it's really about prioritizing yourself and really practicing self-care. And so, you know, we walk around with these smartphones that are supposed to be oh so smart. Set a reminder, put it on your schedule, set some boundaries, and show up for yourself.
Yes. And if you don't have time in the morning, you set your clock earlier to give that time to yourself.
Right.
Okay. So what about
out of 24 hours, you have to be, I was saying out of 24 hours, you have to be worth dedicating some time to yourself.
I agree.
Nothing can be more valuable than yourself, that you can't give yourself some time.
I agree. Well said. Well said. What about someone who may be overweight, and some people may feel intimidated? You know, you go into a classroom and everybody is skinny, everybody's flexible, everybody seems to be in shape. And now you're afraid to show your body, or you're afraid to bend over. You know, what advice would you give that person who may feel embarrassed or intimidated?
Yoga really is about loving yourself, right? I found that out later, and it's very natural, because I remember going into a yoga studio. Usually nobody looks like me, nobody's shaped like me.
Okay, your screen froze again. Let me know when you come back.
But it, you know, you at some point you have to get here. It's not freezing on my end.
Okay. All right. It's my end then. So the last thing I heard was you go to the gym and there was no one looking like you or shaped like you. Did you hear me?
I did not.
Okay. So the last thing I heard was you go to the gym, there are people there not looking like you, they're not shaped like you. And then the screen froze.
so you Sanskrit to for the names of the poses, and so you don't know what they're saying, but you have to eat the chicken and spit out the bones, right? You have to take what's of value for you. Sometimes what helps is if you do a little bit of research before you go, because maybe information always empowers you. So if you kind of look up what some of the poses are, if you watch a little video beforehand, because sometimes it's a lot of things to take in at once, where you're hearing the cues and that they're telling you to do, but you can't really visualize what the pose looks like. So if you begin to look up some of the yoga poses online beforehand, or if you watch a short video beforehand, and you might try some things at home when you're alone and maybe you feel that it's a safer space. But all yoga classes are a very safe space. It's a no judgment zone. So oftentimes that judgment that goes on in our minds, right? We create those judgments. And so one of the things that as you begin to practice yoga, you will do is acknowledge that you're being judgmental of yourself. Right. Practice kindness with yourself. Stop that negative noise in your head and connect with your breath.
Right. Right. So yoga is all about the balance. It's about the breathing, the movement, just finding total balance and I guess living with it.
Yeah. And so there are 7 principles of movement. The first one is breath. You have yield, radiate, center, support, align, and engage. And all of those principles of movement you can apply to your life off of the mat, right? Because they have value. If you're new to yoga, your one and only goal for your first class is to stay the entire time and breathe and have an open mind. That's it. If you can't do any of the poses, as long as you've showed up on the mat, you've stayed and you breathe through it all, it doesn't matter if you can do one pose, right? And so, like I said, you have to practice kindness with yourself. Stop being judgmental, and you do the best you can. You will still reap the benefits of what it is that you showed up to do that day.
Right. I like that. So for someone coming to your class for the first time, what equipment do they need?
So a mat is always beneficial. A towel and a bottle of water. If you come to a beach class, some people don't like to bring their mat because they get sand on it. It's difficult to get the sand off of a mat if it's not a smooth mat. So you may want to bring, a large blanket or a very large beach towel or a sheet, if you will. It really depends on your preference. I mean, you can, for some of the poses, until you have gotten a deeper range of motion, some props are helpful at times, like blocks or straps, but you don't have to invest in those things right away. You can do it without those things.
Okay, so Miss Vanessa Penn says, good afternoon, fellow Libra. And she prefers morning yoga.
Yes.
So let's see about getting her out there Sunday morning.
Oh, absolutely. So we hope to see you then. And it's interesting because it's a Sunday. I'm not doing a more dynamic style, which is a more energetic style. It's Sunday morning, sunrise. So I'm doing a very restorative, relaxing style of yoga. And I also chose that because if you are new to yoga, it is easier and less intimidating to start you off with a yin class.
Got it. Well, what's her name? Pamela Lynn Cologne says, thank you. She loves the advice you gave her.
Awesome.
Okay. And Sylvia Mitchell says, yes, Libra's in the house. So she's another baby born in October.
Okay, awesome. So come celebrate with me by showing up on your mat and let's breathe together.
Okay. What's the name of your business, your company?
Yoga Fit for Life.
Yoga Fit for Life. You have a website?
I do. It's www.yogafit4life.com.
Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge. And yin yoga, I see now that's where the beginners need to go to and find their comfort zone.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I had a few things that I wanted to say before we wrapped up, if that's okay.
Go ahead. No
Because
problem.
I had jotted down some things that I felt were of value that I didn't want to forget.
Okay.
I know that we did touch on some of the benefits. I didn't want to forget that it enhances your digestive system. I think I mentioned about focus and brain and energy. It also helps with your immune function. It helps with circulation, mood, performance, posture. I think I mentioned all of it, sleep, all of that. Weight loss or maintenance. Sex. It helps with sex.
Yeah. Hold on now.
Sex. I said it. Sex is healthy. And
Yes,
it helps with sex. So, interestingly enough, it's very stereotypically people think that yoga is for women, right?
Right.
And I'll share a story. I have a nephew who he competed with bodybuilding, right? And so during his journey, getting ready for his competition, he actually won. He's like, oh, Titi, because he calls me Titi. Man, I have a new respect for yoga. I said, why? He said, because when I was practicing my poses to flex for the competition and I had to control my breathing and hold it, he said, I would sweat more doing that than some of my workouts. I said, really? He said, yes, because I had to engage my muscles and I had to control my breathing. And he said, and that was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. So I said that because one, if you are a bodybuilder, it does help, right? And then two, for males, traditionally they say, oh, it's for women, but it helps with sex. It helps with sex because it helps with circulation. So if it helps with circulation, it's going to help with performance.
Yes.
It helps with energy and stamina. So if it helps with energy and stamina, it's going to help with performance. It helps with mobility and flexibility. So if it helps with those things, it's going to help with sex. So it just puts you in a better mood anyway. And if you're in the right mood, better sex.
Voila.
So if you think about really most of the benefits of it, I mean, it helps with sex.
Yes. Yes. My yoga journey started about maybe 8 to 10 years ago. And one of the first things I noticed was that my flexibility was out of this world. Okay. And with flexibility, you're able to maneuver better in the bedroom. Yes. You're able to switch from one position to the next position without sitting there grunting, oh, my leg. No, you're good to go.
Cramping, all of that. Yeah.
Right. And I remember years ago, there was a football player named Eddie George. He was a running back. And I remember he started doing yoga. He advertised it. And he was saying that it helped, made his career longer because when he was under a pile underneath 8 to 10 guys, 300 pounds, his body was being shoved in different positions. And he was so flexible that it didn't bother him. So it helped his career last longer.
Yes.
So, hey, what can I say?
A lot of professional athletes use yoga as part of their regular conditioning regimen. Mm-hmm. I know for sure, I read an article that LeBron James does use yoga. It builds like overall full body strength. So it does help, but then like you mentioned, the the professional athlete. I was a football player. Because you are more flexible, have a better range of motion, it really does add longevity to your career, and to your life and quality of life. As we age, like you said earlier, those are some of the things that we need to start thinking about.
Yes.
My dad used to say, my dad was a shoemaker by trade. He used to get real angry when we used to buy cheap shoes, because he said, you only get one pair of feet and it got to last you your whole life. We only get one body and it has to last us our whole life. And people always say, ask yourself where you live. You live in your body.
Right.
That is the only place that you live. But we spend more time taking care of our homes. We spend more time taking care of our cars.
Yes.
We spend more time taking care of our stuff than we take care of ourselves. A lot of times people don't even understand how their body works. They don't understand, how your respiratory system works, with your nervous system, with your skeletal system, with your muscular system. We are a walking miracle, right? But we have to take care of our temple. And that is the only place that we live. So why not take better care of where you live, your body?
Preach. Tell me. Oh man, that's powerful. That is so powerful. And we neglect ourselves. A lot of people don't think about self-care, but especially women. Women will take care of everybody in the household. Every kid's need is met. The husband, the boyfriend, whoever, the mothers, you're taking care of their parents. So they're taking care of so many people that at the end of the day, they have no time for themselves. So I tell everybody, give yourself to yourself before giving yourself away to others.
Right. And that was a wake-up call for me. Like I had said years ago, I got really sick, and I got really sick because when I reflected, there was a lot of toxic things in my life that I allowed. And that manifested itself that way through illness. And I was not taking care of myself. I was taking care of my son. I was taking care of my spouse. I was taking care of parents. I was taking care of work. I was taking care of the house. I was taking care of the chores. I was taking care of the errands. I was taking care of everything but me. And then I was faced with possibly not being here to raise my son. My son was 8 when I got really sick.
Wow.
And I said, wow, and that was a wake-up call for me.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're here and you're thriving. So thank you for making those changes.
Thanks. Let me see if there was anything else that I wanted to mention. So men, please do not steer away from yoga. I know, you guys might want to show up because there are women in the class or because they wear yoga pants in the class, but you will benefit just as thoroughly as the women do from it. So please don't let that stereotype stop you from joining yoga and reaping the benefits of it. Some places have started to offer men yoga classes because maybe some people would prefer to do that. But like I said, even if you want to kind of look over some things or try a video at home so that it's not as intimidating, but definitely show up. I have 2 classes coming up the next 2 Sundays. So if you want to come up, please join. And simple application for self-care. I wanted to mention breathing, right? A lot of times people think, oh, I don't have money. You don't need money for self-care. You really don't. Breathing is free. Resting is free.
Say that again. One more time.
Resting. That's free.
Yes.
And sleep deprivation causes so much disease. And dehydration causes so much disease. So if you stay hydrated, drink water, and you sleep, and you breathe, and it might sound super dumb basic, but because we are so wrapped up in multitasking, we don't turn off our brains. We're not resting properly. We're not drinking enough water. And unconsciously, we're breathing very shallow. And oftentimes, we're unconsciously holding our breath. Our entire organism needs oxygen. We have to send oxygen to every cell in our body. If we're not breathing properly, we are cutting off oxygen to our extremities, to all the different cells that make a miracle. I want you to breathe, rest, self-care, simple self-care. Eating. What are you eating? What are you putting in your body? Your intake, right? So if you're feeling sluggish, you know, energy, whatever, it might be because you're not eating what you should be eating, right? And I'm not saying that you should be vegan or vegetarian or any of that, but you need to make healthy choices, right? So breathing, resting, hydrating, eating, water therapy.
Okay.
Water therapy. What does water therapy look like? Water therapy can be free too. How about a shower? A shower is water therapy, right?
Right.
But you can go to the beach, you can get in the pool. Nobody's ever angry in the water. Nobody.
Right.
Who's not having a good time in the water?
Right.
So water therapy, and it's free. But I remember, you know, honestly, I remember, especially when my son was little, whatever, I had to rush to take a shower or to bathe or whatever. Just an uninterrupted long shower or cold shower or whatever it is that you like to do, that nobody feels bad after water.
Right.
Whether you're drinking it or whether you're playing in it or whether you're taking a shower, water therapy is another simple self-care application idea. Sound therapy, music. What are you taking in through your ears, right? Your senses, right? So, and music can set the tone for you. It can be, you know, something slow, something fast, something, you know, happy, something romantic, but sound therapy, you know, is good. Aromatherapy, right?
Yes.
So whether it's a scented candle, whether it's incense, you know, aromas that induce certain memories or just positive thoughts, right? Sound therapy, sunlight,
Well, hold on.
fresh air, go outside.
Now you mentioned the aromatherapy.
Mhm.
I was told that lavender is pretty good.
So lavender is good. It has properties where it's supposed to relax you. I don't ever tell people what aromatherapy to use because people have allergies, you know, like peppermint and eucalyptus are good for energizing, but you know, some people might have it may be allergic. So, you know your organism better than anyone else.
Right.
And then some people have preferences, you know, they like flowery scents or they don't like flowery scents. So, you know, whatever your preferences and your allergic situations are, you know, take that into account. And use some kind of aromatherapy that helps with self-care. You know, stimulating your senses helps with self-care. Pressing pause, like stop being busy all the time for the sake of being busy. Like be still, reflect, meditate, breathe. None of those things cost money. Sunlight, fresh air, go outside. Like I have the pleasure of living in South Florida. Everybody may not, but whether you're in South Florida or not, fresh air and daylight is essential for living things. We're just complicated plants, right?
Right.
We need fresh air and sunlight. Movement, and movement can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be walking, it could be dancing, or movement it is that you want to incorporate in your life, cycling, but movement, you want to stay paddleboarding because I enjoy the beach and the ocean. So that makes me happy. That it was just another activity that I chose to incorporate because it gets me outside, it gets me moving. Elimination, go to the bathroom. That is another self-care, simple application idea that people do not think about.
Judy?
If you're not going to the bathroom, you're going to be sick.
Say it again. Say it again,
If
Judy.
you're not going to the bathroom, you are going to be sick because you have toxins in your body, in your colon. I mean, listen, if you're not going to the bathroom, and people might, that sounds so basic, but think about it. Are you going to the bathroom every day? How often and how many times a day are you going? And how many times are you eating versus how many times are you going?
Right.
And where's that stuff at?
Yes. And I tell people that's why that waistline is called the waistline, because it's full of waste. So you have to clean yourself out. You have to.
Right. So
I know some women that say they only go once a week or twice a week, but you're eating 3 meals a day, but you're going to the restroom once a week, twice a week. No.
And let me tell you, that will be an issue down the road because I've seen a lot of people get colon cancer that really have chronic constipation and are not going regularly, and they don't do anything about it, and they feel like that is normal for them. And then later in life, it comes back to you. So if you're not eliminating, you're not getting rid of that waste, a simple self-care application is take care of that. And if you're drinking water and you're moving, that will help. If you're relaxing, that will help. If you're breathing, that will help. All of those things kind of go hand in hand. But if you have to go get professional help do it. If you need to go get a stool softener, do it. If you need to get a laxative, do it. If you need to do a cleanse, whether it's a natural cleanse, doing a fast, like sometimes, we've had too much intake, right? We're impacted and we need to fast. We need to give our digestive system a break, right? And so you may want to incorporate fasting as part of your self-care regimen. Another thing that people forget about is your skin. Like your skin is your largest organ. And so, but if you're doing water therapy, that is also stimulating your skin, right? Because, your touch. But you want to make sure that you take care of your skin.
Right. Do you have a dry brush?
I have at the present moment, I do not have one, but I've had some in the past. And so I go through kind of things that I'll do that. But like most recently, so because the beach is my happy place, one of the things that I like to do is sit at the edge of the shore and use the sand to exfoliate my skin.
Right. There are people that live here in Miami that never go to the beach. They never go outside to catch the sunrise. They never go out there just to listen to the ocean. And I'm thinking, man, you're living in paradise. Why are you not enjoying this? Because so many people are coming from all over the world to enjoy your city.
Exactly. So one of the things that I like about your name is Nomads Without Limits, because that's a reminder that oftentimes the limits that we have are the limits that we set. And so because people have limited mindsets, you living in South Florida and not going to the beaches because you've made up in your mind, you've created limits for yourself or excuses or sometimes baggage, or I don't know how to swim, or I don't like the sand, or just all kinds of stuff, right? And you're not really taking advantage of what's right here in your backyard.
That's it. That's it. Man, you have lit me on fire. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad, and I hope that there were some wisdom nuggets and takeaways for the audience. And if there's anything that I could do, please check us out, Yoga Fit for Life. And I will be leading the class on Sunday at 7 a.m., October the 2nd and October the 9th. And I look forward to meeting all of you. I believe James is going to put the Eventbrite in the group for Nomads Without Limits. So if you're local and you'd like to check us out, please come check us out.
All right. I will be there October 2nd and October 9th with my yoga mat, my water, and my towel.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
We look forward to it.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Any more questions? No.
Let's see. Does anyone have any questions? Let's see. Vanessa Penn says, I'm a water aerobics pole. Oh God. She exercises 4 times a week. Okay. Let's see. Pamela Lynn Cologne, agility. Think of all the positions. I guess she's talking about sex. Oh God. Let's see.
I mean, that needs to be part of everybody's health regimen.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Because there is nothing like being in the bed and your body is so tight. And when you're getting out of bed in the morning, you feel like an old man. I've been there. And you start walking, you're tiptoeing, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm not even an old man yet, but I'm walking like an old man. So first thing you gotta do every morning is stretch. Wake your body up, stretch your back, stretch your legs, stretch everything.
If anyone has a pet or a dog specifically, you'll notice anytime that they get up, the first thing that they do is they stretch. And one of the poses is downward dog so, yes, if dogs know simple, basic things and they practice it every time they get up, why, if we're supposed to be the intelligent creature, can't we get with the program?
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we talked about the food, the air, what you put into your body, getting the sunshine. If you take everything that you brought to us, that should help you with some balance in your life. And I tell people, if you're not feeling, that great, go outside, get some fresh air. Tell us how to breathe. Because so many people, you say they do the shallow breathing.
Right. So, what you would want to do is, if you could, whether you're sitting or laying, you can breathe through your nose and you fill up your lungs as much as you can. I recommend that you use your hands and you kind of place it lightly on your belly. And so as you inhale, you should feel your belly rise. And as you exhale, you should feel it fall. And so you want to continue to do that. If you can start with a 6 breath count, that would be great. And the more you practice your deep breathing, filling your lungs all the way and then releasing, you should go up to a 10th count, a 10 count breath. If the more you practice, oftentimes we breathe and we think we've filled up our lungs, and then you hold it and then you breathe a little bit more and you realize you still have room, right? And so if you take the time to do that, you'll notice it calms you down. It automatically makes you feel better because, like I said, unconsciously, sometimes we even hold our breath. So always, if you get a moment to, stop what you're doing and just breathe, and you breathe in through your nose, fill your lungs completely, feel your belly rise as much as it can, and then let it fall as you exhale it completely. And anytime that you're trying to go deeper, whether it's exhaling or inhaling, you inhale all the way and then try to inhale a little bit more, and you'll see you still have a little bit more room. Same thing, you exhale all the way, and then when you get to the end, try to exhale a little bit more. You'll notice you still have a little bit more. So there's always room to get that inhale larger and that exhale larger. It just takes practice. And that's why people say, you know, yoga practice, because it is a practice. Right. Every day is different. And it's about practicing it, putting it into practice. It's not a one and done type deal.
So when you go to work Monday morning and that supervisor gets in your face, gets under your skin, you need to go, just breathe. Yeah. Just breathe.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because sometimes in the car, before you even get to work with all this traffic, oh my God, sometimes you just got to breathe, because, you know, the life has stressors, and breathing always will help you manage your stress better. It'll keep you from reacting to whatever just happened. It'll give you that moment to take a breath before you react or even respond. And maybe you will choose to not react or respond. And it gives you the moment to say, okay, how am I going to react? Am I going to react?
You just gave me a flashback of me being a kid and my mom going, just go sit down somewhere. So she had to get her balance before knocking me out, right?
Right. Because, you know, emotions get in the way sometimes. And so breathing helps to regulate all of those things.
Right. Okay. So Miss Pamela Lynn Colon says, I coach moot court for seniors in high school, and I use breathing exercises with them to calm and focus them right before they compete.
Oh, right before competing, okay. It helps with testing too, testing anxiety.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, Vanessa Pence, and she's a school teacher as well. She says, I use a moment in my class of middle schoolers at the start of class to breathe while listening to music.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And on YouTube, Miss Fatima says, thank you for the advice. Very informative, especially about the joint problems. And I will definitely see you Sunday.
Awesome. Awesome. And one last thing I do want to say is that pain is never okay. So when you begin to do some things, discomfort is okay, because you're going to challenge your edge. You're going to breathe through it, and you're going to try to go deeper so that you can create a larger range of motion. But sharp pain under no circumstances is okay. So if you do try a pose and you do feel pain, and only you know the difference between discomfort and pain, you need to back off if you feel pain, because that means that your skeletal makeup is not prepared to do that pose at that depth at that time. That doesn't mean that you can't do yoga anymore. It just means that, and there are times that, you know, even with my practice, there's days that I can do a pose no problem, and then there's another day that I fall out of it, or I just can't do it that day, because every day is going to be different. But the moment, if you do feel any pain, you have to back off, because you don't want to injure yourself. Discomfort is okay, but pain is not.
Got it. Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the beautiful, the great, the awesome advice. Thank you for the class today. And I will see you Sunday.
Awesome. I look forward to it. I hope to see the rest of you there too.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care, and we'll talk later, okay?
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.